What is Bitcoin? And why are more and more regular people paying serious attention to it? When I first looked into Bitcoin a few years ago, I was a bit skeptical, and maybe you are too. I had no coding background, no advanced financial knowledge, and I wasn't even sure that I would understand it. But the more I dug in, the more I realized you don't need to understand every technical detail. You just need to know enough about Bitcoin to make a smart decision for yourself. And by the end of this video, you will have that. Quick disclaimer, this is financial education and entertainment and not financial advice. Always do your own research before investing any of your money. Before we get into what Bitcoin is, I want to explain why so many regular people are paying attention to Bitcoin right now. Because I think a lot of you watching right now are in the same position that I was back then. Most of us were taught the same playbook. Go to college, get a good job, save money, invest in index funds, spend less than you earn. And for a long time that worked, but somewhere along the way, something broke. No matter how disciplined I was, it felt like I was not actually getting ahead. Now here's what most people are not told. Governments and central banks, especially after the 2008 financial crisis and massively after 2020, created enormous amounts of new money. This is not conspiracy theory. It is public documented data. Global M2 money supply expanded by over 40% between 2020 and 2025. Here's a simple way to picture this. Imagine you ordered your favorite coffee, strong, concentrated, exactly what you paid for. Now imagine one morning the barista only fills your cup half full with actual coffee and then quietly tops it up with hot water. It kind of looks the same in the cup, but delivers half the kick. That is what happens to your savings every time more money is created. The number in your account stays and looks the same, but what it can actually buy quietly gets watered down. And even when official inflation looks modest, you know as well as I that the actual experience tells a different story. Rent, groceries, insurance, tuition. For average earners, this is the trap. Your salary slowly and barely goes up, and prices always go up more and faster, and growing real wealth feels like running on a treadmill that keeps speeding up. Drop a comment down below if you feel like you are doing everything right financially and still not quite getting ahead. The old rules are not useless, but they were built for a different monetary environment, our parents' environment. But Bitcoin was built specifically for these difficult times. So who actually made Bitcoin? Where did it come from? And why was it created? Let's go back in time. In 2008, right in the middle of the global financial crisis, an anonymous person or group, no one knows for sure, using the name Satoshi Nakamoto, published a 9-page document called the Bitcoin White Paper. He introduced Bitcoin as a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. It proposed a new kind of money requiring no bank, no government, no central authority. But then Satoshi disappeared, nobody knows who it was, but the network continues to run nevertheless. By creating Bitcoin, Satoshi solved something that cryptographers had been trying to crack for decades: the double spend problem. Let me break it down. The idea of digital money that no single entity controls and that no one can debase or dilute is a powerful one. The problem is building it. Unlike physical cash, which can only exist in one place at a time, digital information can be copied perfectly and endlessly. Hand someone a $20 bill and it's gone from your hand. But send a photo to 10 friends and they will have it too, but you will also still have it, identical copies everywhere. So if money is just information, what stops something from doing the same thing? Copying it and spending it twice before anyone notices. That is the double spend problem, and every attempt to create digital cash before Bitcoin has failed. So here's Satoshi's breakthrough. What if a network of computers all around the world could all keep and verify the same financial records without needing a central authority? That shared public ledger is called the blockchain, a chain of blocks where each block contains a batch of verified transactions. When you send Bitcoin to someone, special computers around the world called nodes independently verify that your transaction follows Bitcoin's rules and then broadcast it across the network until everyone has the same record. You might ask, then why doesn't just anyone add blocks to the blockchain themselves? Now here's the clever part. To earn the right to add the next block, miners have to compete to solve an incredibly difficult mathematical challenge. They repeatedly run numbers through a calculation trillions of times per second. In simple terms, they are trying to guess some random number. And although we don't need to understand all the technical details, the most important thing about this process to remember is that this process of guessing costs real electricity, real time, and real money. So the miner who finds it first gets to add the block to the blockchain and receives some Bitcoin as a reward. That is their incentive. And because this process is so resource intensive, attacking the system becomes extremely costly. You would need to outpace the computing power of the entire honest network, and even then, nodes would reject any block that breaks Bitcoin's rules. There's no single middleman, no single point of failure. And here's another thing Bitcoin has that our traditional monetary system doesn't. Bitcoin's supply schedule is enforced by network rules, meaning no single person or government can decide to print more. And this brings us to Bitcoin's most important feature, the 21 million cap. Bitcoin's code sets a hard limit of 21 million Bitcoin that will ever exist. No government can override it. New Bitcoin is released gradually, but that release rate cuts in half approximately every 4 years during an event called the halving. The most recent halving was April 2024, reducing the mining reward that miners got to 3.125 Bitcoin per block. And here's what most people are not aware of. Over 20 million Bitcoin, more than 95% of the total supply already exists, and less than 1 million are left to be mined. Another amazing thing is this. The Bitcoin network itself has never been successfully hacked in over 15 years. Even the US executive order establishing the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve in March 2025 cited this directly. This is the core problem all of us are facing at the moment. Governments can always print more of the money we are saving in, whether that's US dollars, Canadian dollars, euros, and so on. Bitcoin's answer is to build money that cannot be diluted like that tasteless, watered-down coffee. By the way, guys, if you're finding this video helpful, consider subscribing for more beginner-friendly Bitcoin videos. But you might still be asking, what is Bitcoin actually? Is it a currency, an investment, a technology, a store of value? The truth is, it is all of those things. Let's walk through each one. As a currency, Bitcoin can be sent anywhere in the world in minutes, no bank involved. In countries where local currencies have collapsed, like in Venezuela, Argentina, Lebanon, some people already use it for daily transactions. In wealthier countries like the US and Canada, Bitcoin is not widely used for groceries yet, but it may just happen in the future. Although there is debate about Bitcoin's use as a currency, I'd say we don't need to get too fixated on that because Bitcoin is valuable for other reasons. As an investment, many people treat Bitcoin like digital gold, held long term, because it is expected to retain and even grow in value. This is also primarily how I think about Bitcoin, not as an asset to day trade or to get rich quickly, but to hold long term. As a technology and network, Bitcoin is an open financial infrastructure that needs no company or government to keep running. Think of it like the early internet. Most people had no idea how the internet worked, but it changed everything. That being said, the lens that matters most for most people right now, especially regular people trying to grow wealth, is Bitcoin's use as a store of value. A store of value is something that holds purchasing power over time. Gold has done this for centuries. Bitcoin does things gold cannot. You can verify the exact supply at any moment, send it anywhere instantly, and with the right setup, only you control access to it. I believe that Bitcoin is the hardest form of money ever created, but look into the facts and make up your own mind. And now let me tell you a short story that puts everything in perspective. In May 2010, a programmer named Laszlo paid 10,000 Bitcoin for 2 pizzas. Bitcoin was essentially worthless at the time, it didn't even cost a cent. Those 10,000 Bitcoins are now worth well over $500 million. May 22nd is now even celebrated as Bitcoin Pizza Day. Now, I'm not telling you this to make you feel late. I am telling you to show how far Bitcoin has come. Unlike some people think, no, it's not a scam and it didn't just appear yesterday. Now, a question many beginners have. Is Bitcoin even real money? What actually backs it? Now, let me ask you a simple question. When you log into your bank account and see your balance, is that money sitting in a vault with your name on it? No. It is just a number in a database that a private company controls. Your bank can freeze it. Your bank can fail, and in a crisis, access to it can be restricted. So the question, is Bitcoin really there, is actually the question we should ask about our regular money, our fiat money. Traditionally, is backed by trust and law. The government declares it legal tender, the central bank manages supply, and deposits are insured up to a certain limit through the FDIC in the US and CDIC in Canada. The whole system runs on institutional trust. Trust that has historically been betrayed. And the worst thing is that the supply has never stopped growing. Now, Bitcoin, on the other hand, is backed by something different: computational work and math. as we talked about earlier. Thousands of computers are in a constant competition to solve an extremely hard puzzle, and the winner gets to add the block and earn the block reward. This is called proof of work. There actually needs to be proof that work has been done and energy expended in that process. The security is not based on trust here. You don't need to trust anyone. It is based on physics and economics. So where is your Bitcoin when you buy it? Every transaction is recorded on the blockchain, a public record anyone can view. Your Bitcoin lives on the blockchain. Only the person holding the private key, in simple terms, a unique password, can move the Bitcoin. If you buy Bitcoin on an exchange, for example, like Kraken, the exchange holds that key on your behalf. In the beginning, when I first started buying Bitcoin, I also bought Bitcoin on exchanges since that was the easiest way. But then, as my confidence grew, I slowly transitioned to self-custody, which is holding your own keys. In case you're at the very beginning of your Bitcoin journey and don't want to deal with self-custody yet, but want an easy way to get started buying Bitcoin, then just start by buying on exchanges. Nothing wrong with that. I have a link to Kraken in the description down below, and depending on where you are in the world, you might get a bonus. For example, if you're in the US, you can earn $25 in Bitcoin. The only requirement is that you need to open an account, deposit $100 in fiat money, and trade $100. If you're in Canada, you can earn $10 in BTC, also just by depositing $100 in fiat currency and trading $100. So go ahead and check my link down below for more details. Now, I know that it can get easy to be discouraged by Bitcoin's seemingly expensive price. But think about this. You do not need to buy a whole Bitcoin, at least not at once. The smallest unit is a Satoshi 100 millionth of a Bitcoin. Small, consistent purchases build a position over time. That is how I started. Now, how significant has Bitcoin become? For companies, a growing number of publicly traded businesses hold Bitcoin on their balance sheets as a reserve. Strategy, formerly MicroStrategy, holds over 760,000 Bitcoin as of early April 2026. And more companies are starting to do this. Companies holding Bitcoin makes sense. If cash loses purchasing power over time, what better alternative can there be to hold? For governments, 2025 was a turning point. In March 2025, the US signed an executive order establishing a strategic Bitcoin reserve. The order cited Bitcoin's fixed supply and the fact that it has never been hacked. The US government is already one of the largest known Bitcoin holders in the world. And in 2024, the SEC approved spot Bitcoin ETFs, formally opening the door for the traditional financial system to invest directly. Institutional flows have accelerated significantly since. Bitcoin is not just a currency or investment. For many people around the world, it represents something more. The first time in history that an average person can hold, send, and receive value without asking anyone's permission. Now, I want to be straight with you because hype around Bitcoin actively hurts beginners. Volatility is real and significant. Bitcoin hit an all-time high of around $126,000 in October 2025. By early 2026, it had dropped roughly 46% from that peak to around $68,000. If you bought at that peak and then panic sold, you lost real money. This is not a get-rich-quick vehicle. The people who have done well bought Bitcoin gradually, held through the turbulence, and only invested the money that they did not need in the short term. Now, you do not need to understand everything to get started. I did not understand proof of work when I bought my first Satoshis. I still do not understand every layer of the protocol, and that is okay. Most people have no idea how a combustion engine works. They still drive cars every day. You just need to understand enough to make a decision, and then you can go deeper over time. Bitcoin rewards conviction and patience. The question is not, will it go up next month? It is, do I believe that this is a better place to store value than the alternative over the next 5 to 10 years? That is the only question worth answering before you start. One key rule, do not invest what you cannot afford to leave alone for years. Bitcoin is not for grocery money, rent money, or anything with a short-term deadline. So, what is Bitcoin? The old system dilutes your savings through endless money creation. Bitcoin, on the other hand, has a fixed supply of 21 million that no government, no company, and no individual controls. That is the whole thesis. Everything else is detail. Spot Bitcoin ETFs have been approved. The US government has established a strategic reserve. Over 94% of all Bitcoin that will ever exist is already in circulation. And the window where most people dismiss Bitcoin entirely has passed. The question now is simply whether it belongs in your plan. Start by understanding the basic idea, and when you are ready, start small. In the long term, make sure you learn how to self-custody your Bitcoin, but in the beginning, it's completely fine to just buy your Bitcoin on exchanges like Kraken, for example. In the next video, I'll tell you why you're not late to Bitcoin yet. Join me in that one next.